don't get me wrong. Like, I think people get this idea that I dislike CCM. Like, that is not true.
Yeah.
People who adore CCM like have little to no respect for the craft that comes behind gospel. And because they love their CCM guys, they think that their CCM guys can do the gospel thing. No, they can't.
3, 2, 1.
Worship with Isaiah and friends.
So Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for allowing us to gather in your name. We thank you for this time. Father, we just pray that even as we discuss and even as we commune, we just ask that, Lord, that everything we discuss will be centered around you and that you will be enthroned at the end. So we thank you, Lord Jesus, and we give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen. Yo, so we're back. We're better than ever. You already know what it is. Worship with Isaiah and friends. And today I'm coming with something different for you guys today. We're taking it away from the worship leaders and the singers, and we're going down the route of the people behind that. So we're going down the route of the musicians, the instrumentalists. And I've got two gentlemen with me today. I'll start with the one on my right. So I have this person, someone I actually went to university with. We were in a gospel choir together. He's a bad boy drummer. He's a
I said Shenz is like waiting to be introduced in that.
he's a great guy, humble, just a lovely soul, man. So yeah, just introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Thanks for the words, though, man. I appreciate that. For real. Not even a joke. I don't take them lightly. Yeah, Shenz or Shenny, 24, going 25. What else do I say about myself? Yeah, man.
Yeah, like what do you do? Like give us a little intro.
I'm a drummer, musical director type vibe, drummer. I've been playing drums since I was like proper young. Just started playing in church really, and then went to college. I did a BTEC in music performance, as well as GCSE music and things like that. But then my degree's in something else in marketing. So I did music, and then from that, been able to, tour around Europe, play with like artists in gospel as out of gospel. Faith Child, we did a lot of stuff in Europe. So my church, obviously with my church, a lot of guest artists come. So worked with like Sherelle Franklin, Michelle Williams, Sonny,
Sonny Badu?
Not Sonny Badu, Samuel Kosso, Mike Aramu,
Okay.
all them type of like guys, and then just like in church and just playing, and then as well as that, just teaching. Yeah, man, just trying to do what I can, man.
He's a busy man.
Trying to do what I can, man.
He's a busy man. But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, bro.
Love
I appreciate you and honor you as always. It's always love every time, man. Someone you can learn from, guys. So don't worry, we're gonna put all his details below and make sure you connect with him. And to my left is someone I met recently, actually. Because of social media is a great place.
Definitely.
This is a guy I've met recently. He literally, when you meet someone and you just get the vibe from them that they're just a naturally loving person. And that's the vibe I got from him when I met him. He's an amazing bassist. As you guys saw on the Instagram page. Just a lovely guy, man. And just introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, thank you, and right back at you, bro. Yeah, man. I'm David, or some people know me as Fifi. So yeah, I play the bass. I've been playing bass for about 10 years now. So, what else do I do? By day, I'm a science teacher, so I teach chemistry, all the way up to A level in secondary school and stuff. So the music thing is kind of something that I've been doing a long time in church, especially. But it's only really recently I've kind of started to see how much more I can get done and kind of make a bit of a career of it / balance it with my day job and that kind of thing. In an ideal world, I would love it to be the main thing. So, but yeah, in terms of what I've done, I guess, yeah, my CV isn't as stacked as Shenz, is it? But
it's stacked yet, bro. It's coming.
But yeah, so I played with like a lot of the UK guys, like my guy called out, Emmanuel Smith, Deborah Darling, a lot of those kind of guys. There's a new guy, Femi Sachs, as well, that's come up really recently. Played with Joe Metal, got to do that recently, which was really, really cool. And in terms of like the non-gospel side, worked with like Jazz Caris, who's like a really cool artist. Yeah, so that kind of stuff there, man.
You might have worked with a lot of people still. I hear it. I love it. I think that's the beauty of you lot being musicians, isn't it? It's like there's always people to work with. I think with like, let's say for singers, for example, it's a bit harder because it's like you can't just pick and like say, okay, I want to sing with this person, I want to sing with that person. But with you lot, there's like a pool of people to work with because you're specific. You play a specific instrument, and you play a specific instrument, which people always will need. And I think with singers, you're not, you may not always be needed as much as you guys. So I think like it's lit for you lot, man. And I wish I could play an instrument, but
Never too
I
late.
tried.
my
You know,
guy.
it's
never too
like,
late.
Catch that.
I grew up in church playing drums, like you, but
I think everyone did.
I just said, literally, I think everybody actually jumps on
Okay.
drums. I think every auntie or uncle leading choirs like, you just jump on this
Or
thing.
you know what it is, the instrument's there. So you just go after service and just you see
Yeah,
sticks
yeah, yeah.
or a pen.
Trust
I
me.
don't like
a
a pen.
pen, instead
Or
of
a
pen.
pen. They use that take the pen, drummy, but it's starting, isn't it? It's
I hear
the
it.
concept. Licking the instrument and just and that's where it started. Essentially for me almost.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Yeah, that was literally what I was gonna ask you both. Like, so like, how did it actually start? Like, were you forced into it? Were you like, did you just think, oh, I wanna try this, or like what?
You go first.
You
bro.
know what? For me, so I've got older brother, and when we grew up in church, my brother used to always be the one that used to go after. My mum's in the choir as well, so during choir practice or whatever, my brother used to be the one that used to run up on the kit. My brother could play. My brother had like drum lessons, guitar lessons, flute lessons, piano lessons, bare instruments, and he didn't tune to it, but I did. So he still does music, like he's musically inclined, and whatnot. But I was like the one that took more to it. So in a sense, I was always just I was a younger brother in it. I was just looking at what my older brother did, and one time your mum leaves you together, I'm just copying, man. But then from that, I guess the gift that's way it was supposed to happen. I don't know, but so I just happened to hold it. So in church, I was the youth that used to just take the sticks and just do hi-hat because I couldn't reach the kick yet. You get me?
Hear that.
And then growing up in the same church, been in my church from day. So growing up in the same church, literally just there, going on to school, started doing African drumming. Like my school did that African drumming, very cultural school. Started doing African drumming, so my rhythm was there. My dad also rhythmic as well, so kind of my mum's in the choir, so we're kind of musical in a sense family. So I think that's how it all started for me. And then yeah, just in school, I just was part of school orchestras and doing percussion and reading music and doing all the like theory side of stuff in school because I was part of the like wind orchestra. I was like the percussionist in school and things like that. So that's how it just stuck with me, and bruv, that's all I know, bro. Like I don't know. That's all I know, man.
I hear that. So when did you kind of like know that this was something that you want to actually like do?
From day, like
Oh, swear.
I think, like I say, when I say it's all I know, like I was decent at maths in school. My grades weren't the best, but music. My degree's in marketing. So the two things that I said in life from day is music and marketing. There's the two things that all I know. That's all I've had my hands in life. So it's like when I think of me, I just think music and I think marketing. So it's like like when I picked subjects, it was GCSE, music and business and like media and things like that. So it was like I didn't know anything else. And then I think I got my first session gig at 16.
Okay.
So I can't remember the name of the artist, but I remember where the gig was. It was in North London somewhere, and that was my first paid gig. And then that was at 16, so I was in year 11. So from that, it was the summer of year 11, so 2012. And then from that, I was like, we can balance this out. And then when I failed my A levels, I went to go. When I failed AS, I went to do BTEC music. So when I banged that out, I said, yeah, this one's it. So.
Okay. What about you, David?
I think my journey might be a little bit different. It's not really the norm. For me, my journey kind of makes me think, yeah, like, this is definitely a gift from God because my family's not really like my dad wasn't musical, my mum's not musical, that kind of thing. So I just started off in church. My senior pastor plays like electric guitar. So one time randomly, I think I was like 9, 10, and he was like, "Yeah, um, come on Saturdays, we're gonna be giving lessons to the kids." And my mum was like, "What do you think?" I was like, "All right, let's go." So around 9, 10, I learned acoustic guitar, like the very basics, like C, playing like couple chords here and there. And then I don't know, I just stopped. So I had an acoustic guitar. Then about a year or two later, this guy came to my church to like take over the music, and so he would play keys, and then he used to see like who was there to play bass. There was an uncle that was playing bass in my church. He moved with his family abroad, so they left the bass there. The bass is still there, 5 string Warwick bass.
Yeah.
Like it actually sounds kind of nice. So he left it there, and then all of a sudden now the guys that plays keys is like come on stage. So he'll be playing praise and worship and playing bass in his left hand and giving me the numbers, and I'm like trying to follow like live whilst he's playing during service. So this must have been when I was like maybe 13, 14. And then all of a sudden he leaves the church and like I'm the only musician in church. So that at that point I was kind of forced into it. So it was either like sink or swim. So I just started trying to improve a little bit. I've got some cousins in that play, so I used to go to their church a lot. That's where I learned how to play like like high life stuff in it. Um, and yeah, one day I just thought, right, like I can actually play bass a little bit. Let me take it seriously. So I think around 16, I think I started taking bass seriously, and then yeah, by the time I was ready to go to uni, like I could already like play. Like by that point, I'd played bears with like um some of the gospel artists that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, it was kind of like a progression. I was never like, ah, like from young, I'm gonna be a musician kind of thing. It kind of just was something that I just did on the side kind of thing, and eventually it became like the passion kind of thing.
Oh, I hear that still. It's crazy because it essentially sounds like you were strategically positioned in a sense where it's like all of these things were put right in front of you, and then it came to a time where it was like, okay, cool, it's time for you to step up and kind of step into that fully. And then like it's sort of like God actually prepared you ahead of time before you even knew it, because it's like all of these people were coming and going, and then you started your lessons at this point, and then as you were growing, people were leaving, and it's time. It's like, okay, cool. I'm now at this place where I can kind of step into it properly and kind of take it on as my responsibility now. Like, so that's why I think it's quite interesting to actually hear about, because I like what do I know about instruments and being a musician? I don't really know about that. I just know I know singing. Just know. But yeah, that's mad because like 2 completely different stories. You get me? Like one actually wanted to do it from the jump, and one was just like, yeah, you know what? Let's see how it goes. And then at the same time, God is in the middle of both stories. You know what I'm saying? Because once you actually have a passion for something, like your passion don't just come from anywhere. Like God actually places that in you. You know what I'm saying? And with you, it's just like it's literally right in front of you. You can see that it's literally divine positioning for your senior pastor to be like, yeah, there's this Saturday thing, and then from there, look at you now, fam. You know what I'm saying?
Literally, like
It's crazy.
yeah, it's mad.
That's cool, man. Because, but for me, hearing that, yeah, like you getting pushed to play. When I was younger, like growing up in church, my church is a big church, innit? But it's like,
You have to want it. If not, then
it's
you're
like,
not.
yeah, and then also when I'm in the middle of trying to interject and I guess jump on, bro, they're actually rehearsing for conference or rehearsing to perfect Sunday. So it's like, hey, young one, get off.
Yeah,
Like, we got to rehearse this now. You get it?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, but, and then no, relax.
See, that's the thing. Like, I never grew up around that kind of
Standard.
environment of like conference. There's sound check. There's this. There's that. So like, I used to go to like, and the thing is, gospel scene in the UK right now is a bit annoying. I really feel like we need a revival because when I was young, like there was an event every Saturday somewhere. So it's only through that, like going to events every Saturday. I'll be watching the sound guys. I'll be watching the musicians sound check. I'll be watching this. I'll be watching that. And like I never got that from my church, innit? So it's only going there that I got to see raw. Like people grew up on this kind of thing. So that's why it kind of annoys me when I see people that are in certain scenarios and situations where they could be a certain musician, they can push music, and it's like, what? Like, you lot don't know what you have. Like,
I'm not gonna lie.
I think I must have been 18 is the first time I used inners and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a lot of men have grown up with that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, so what is an in-ear?
So like,
what's that?
In-ears, like, so if you're on stage, you're singing, there's obviously foldback that you need to hear.
Oh yeah.
And there's house, right?
Okay.
So there's like monitors that the congregation, the audience, whoever's there needs to hear, and there's what you need to hear. Yeah. So imagine replacing those speakers that you have, that you're hearing, with a pack or like a cabled version that goes into headphones.
Okay.
And you can personalize exactly what levels you want to hear.
Oh, I see.
So like for me, I just turn those BBs all the way down.
Yeah. I'm gonna lie, bro.
BBs just go, I just need them a little bit. You know, I just have that kick. No overhead on the drum because you lot just be smashing.
No, you like it is, no overhead.
Man, no overhead. Because especially if more time I'm next to the drummer, so I don't need to hear that. I'm just hearing.
I won't even lie. For me, as a drummer, which is weird, a lot of people say, "What?" I hardly want drums in my mix. I want like a tad, like just a touch. Maybe because not every time my mix has been perfect, so I just avoid.
If you ever drop off click, I'm gonna tweet and say it's because you don't have drums in your
I have click because I'm a feeling guy, innit?
Oh, so I hear it.
So I'm playing.
Okay.
But then I might have a little bit of kick in my head, but I don't really like bare drums. And for me, it would just be loud compared to
anyway, because you can hear it. To be honest,
and I'm just feeling. It's vibration, bro. So I know my vibration. You get it. So even if I'm playing with that's probably why I'm a heavy hitter.
See, this is mad insightful for me as well, fam, because it's like you never ever hear people talking about this or like their experiences around all of this technicalities and all of them things there.
Yeah, well, people wouldn't know that.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
No one actually talks about it.
People think we just come to church and we just do whatever.
That's what I'm saying. No one actually talks about it. I think that's kind of why I wanted to kind of speak to the both of you, or obviously three of you. I'm not gonna say the person's name, but he knows who he is and he knows that he should have been a part of this. But it's all good, bro. It's all love. We still love you, innit? It's calm. But yeah, it's mad because obviously, like I was saying, this is just giving people an insight on how much you guys actually have to go through. Like, this thing that we see on a Sunday is not just like, oh, they get up on stage and then they just start playing. There's more to it, innit? But yeah, it's been mad insightful so far. But I think what I kind of want to know now, from the perspective of an instrumentalist and from someone behind the scenes, in a sense, like, what do you see worship as? Like, as an instrument, like, what do you see it as for you? What does it actually mean being able to play in a, like, let's say, a worship set? Like, how important has worship become for you? Not as a believer, but as an instrumentalist. Obviously, with the aspect of being a believer at the same time, but from the angle of me sitting behind an instrument or me playing an instrument, how important and what does it mean to you? Whoever wants to dive in there first.
That's a big question. Big question. I think we could talk for ages about that. But I think I get what you mean in terms of saying, not like, for lack of a better word, not from the perspective of a believer, but just in general.
Yeah.
I think worship in general, has saved a lot of people from a lot of dark places in their life. Like, when you're going through a lot, and like, you could have had a terrible week, and there'll be times where it's like, I'm really looking forward to church because I know, like, when I sit there to play, like, I'm just gonna play and like just let it all out, like all of that emotion, kind of like as just a cry unto God kind of thing, and just like a cry, like, just out to the congregation. There's one thing I remember a friend of mine said to me, and it was kind of like, so the scripture about the woman that touched the hem of Jesus' garment and then the power left Jesus. So a friend of mine, she kind of used this analogy talking about like us playing like our stringed instruments, and as we're playing, like power is leaving and like going out onto the congregation. And then there's like that William McDowell song that talks about, heal every broken heart, touch every what's the one? Let everything in his presence, Jesus. I can't even remember the song, but like as you're playing, like providing like you've studied your word and you've like taken time in your secret place, whatever God has put in you is kind of like it's now pouring out onto the people as you're playing. And obviously, man can't really sing like that. So as I'm playing, like there are times where I wouldn't even remember what I did in the service, like, and it's just like all them lines, like you just see, and then just be like, whoa, like what was that? And God's designed music to be used. Like, obviously, music can be abused, but if it's used for God's glory and it's like combined with the word of God, which is like centered around Jesus and Christ, and it's just like, wow, like. I'm just like that question has made me think of all the powerful worship moments like I've had or been involved in or seen or experienced. The best one for me is I went to Boston in February and I went to Jubilee Church, so like Jubilee worship, and their worship service, like that was just like a normal Sunday for them, but like it was crazy, like crazy worship experience.
They match the excellence with the worship.
I was gonna say that, but I feel like that's coming in the next question. I
heard that.
Let me leave that bit, and then I'll let
let
you jump in, man.
No, it's mad. You know what? Like one thing I actually took from what you said is like, essentially, you playing your instrument and you having that experience is like you and God are having your own moment in front of like you're in front of everyone, but it's you and God in that moment. Like it's like you don't even think that people are there. It's like I'm having that encounter with God through my instrument.
Yeah,
it's so powerful. And even when you're talking about it, it's just it brings me back to moments where I'm leading worship and I've had that experience with God. And you sometimes you forget that you're in front of people, you're leading people, but it always brings you back to like, this is my communion to God, and your communion to God is you playing that instrument, and that's the way that you're glorifying Him at the same time. And it's mad because you would never ever think that someone playing a bass or someone playing the drums feels like that. Do you know what I'm saying? You would just think, oh, these men are just there enjoying their
But that's the thing, to me and to us, like, I don't understand how people don't think that it feels like that. Like, because I don't get it, but like, you're not the first person to have said that to me. Like, even when
you're just a musician.
Like I've heard that so many times. Like, I even remember there's been times where it's like, we might be accused of like not being serious because as we're playing, I have people making fun of my neck movements all the time and stuff. But it's like, obviously, there's a bit of it where, like, let's not cap. Like, we're feeling the music.
Yeah, you're enjoying yourself. Like you're allowed
feeling
to.
the music. But there's very much a part of it where it's like, like that's where we're not even fronting, like we're just gods, we're here, like
definitely. And there's definitely times when similar, like when you're saying like feeling the music, but like when you're playing with somewhat musicians that flow better or play better.
Just say better musicians, bro. You're trying to
make it sound
circumvent.
I'm not trying to.
When you're playing with good musicians, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. When I'm playing with good musicians in church, there's no distraction.
I hear
so
that.
when everyone's just nice, like we're all good, everyone's good, there's chemistry musically, and it's like you have no worries. Sometimes if I'm playing with maybe someone that's not too sure,
it's been learning, he's learning. I like to say, they're learning, man. They're
learning, they're still growing in the instrument, you kind of have to keep an eye out on them or make sure that they're good, like, because we all have to be
and you know why that's very important what you said, because this is the mistake, especially I think that we see in the UK. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't value skill. Like, they don't value genuine skill, because skill is so important. Because when you're so skilled on your instrument or in what you're doing, that leaves you, like, people think that takes away from the actual worship, or people love to do this whole skill versus like relationship with God, when it's not a versus thing. It's they're in tandem with each other. When you are so skilled on your instrument, I can play on autopilot.
Talk, bro.
and still have the music be
Talk,
lashing,
bro.
still have the worship be flowing. That now gives me the time to. I'm playing. Sometimes I'm playing. Man's praying in tongues, or like I'm flowing with the worship.
Bro.
When you don't even know your scales properly, you
Bro.
can't do that. Because you're focusing so hard on what you're
Yeah,
doing to not
yeah.
make a mistake. So if we're now playing with other musicians that like I'm having to give the numbers to all the time and stuff, like he said, like it takes a little bit away of my thing, which is not a bad thing.
No,
it's
no,
not
no.
it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is why your like skill level is so important, because if you are so skilled, then that's when you can now have time to now do everything else that
Work on the-
is required. But then obviously there's the other extreme of it where you can be so skilled that you're now just having fun and you're not paying any attention to that.
That man just they know what makes like they know landing on the floor is gonna do what, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or,
so then you know
like,
they yeah, like, and
almost like just to
even
say,
yeah,
like,
even
yeah.
I can say like, I think all musicians are guilty of it sometimes, where it's like, you know, we've played now and then after we've played, and don't get me wrong, man, playing in church is very draining. So it's like you've done that. Sometimes it's like, you know, the word is there and it's like, oh, might not be your favorite pastor preaching this week, so you kind of tune out a little bit. Like, we're all guilty of it, but so that's the other extreme of what I'm saying. But the optimum, like, is for skill to be here, and also relationship, and how much you've put into the word, and how much you're now therefore giving out into the worship is there. It's so important.
What about you?
Yeah, you went off topic a little bit, but we're not off topic.
No, you're
But I
still-
forgot what the question was.
Yeah, so like, so
oh.
essentially, like, what is like from your perspective as a musician, the worship?
Yeah, I think for me, I know, like, in terms of like growing in the instrument and knowing that that's, for me, I feel like it's become like knowing that that's your gift. That's something that God gave you. So regardless, singers is the same thing. Preaching, it's the same thing. It's still a gift. But for me, I'm giving back. Like, when I'm worshiping, that's me and God. Like, that's a conversation between me and Him. Whether the worship leader, cool, I'm in tune with everyone. But when I'm playing, it's like I'm not thinking about what the singer's doing or what everyone's doing. I'm like, of course I am thinking about it, but I'm with me and God. Like, that's me, and I'm thinking that's me giving back. That's me, like, you give me a gift. Now this is me pouring back to everyone, but giving back to God. Like, I'm using what I have, knowing that that's not what I created. Like, it was given to me. So when I'm doing like praise and worship or whatever, that's when I am giving back. Whether I'm playing, even when I'm playing on a gig that is not in church, bro. Like, I know one thing that I live by is I'm gonna be the light wherever I am. So whether I'm lashing the gig or whatever, I'm giving back to God. Like, I'm giving back to God. Like, when I am, like, I know myself. Like, I'm not gonna, like, especially in church, I know that I'm doing that. Like, that's what I'm on. Like, that's so for me, it's definitely worship is just like how I flow and just how I feel, knowing that when I'm behind that kit, God gave me this gift and allowed me to be in these rooms or be in these situations or be in this behind here or play this opportunity right now. Because, brother, I'm not the only drummer. Like, I'm not the only. There's other man that can play kit in church. There's other man that can play kit on a worship event that someone called me for. There's other people that could do this gig here. Like, but when I'm at that point, like, that's an opportunity that God's given me with the gift that He's given me. So I'm giving back, like, giving back. So that's how I see it. Yeah, man.
This is good. I like this.
That's how I see it.
I like this a lot because, bro, it's so insightful for me, man. Honestly, like, I literally, for me, the reason why I want to speak to you, bro, because I want to learn, like, I want to understand how it is and how it looks like. Because, you know, sometimes you don't really see not even sometimes you never see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You get me? And I think literally everything you've said leads on to kind of my next point is like, so, or my next question per se, like, how do you find the balance between lashing and worshipping? You get? Because it's like you can be going ham, and then you then still have to remember that, okay, but I'm still worshipping at the same time. Like, how do I not let the lashing take over my worship?
I could actually, all I would say in the terms is read the room. That's how I would see it. It's just read the room. Like, sometimes, especially read who you're playing with, read who's worshipping, read the environment. Like, sometimes it's not called for that. Like you're lashing. It's not needed sometimes because you're in that space where there's no room for that. And then obviously with skill set as a musician, you understand musicianship, so you understand how as a musician you need to now make sure that everyone's playing together because you're a band. You've got to be cohesive, innit? Like, so man can't be doing bears when keys player's not doing much, or bass, especially bass. Man can't be playing the kick pattern and the bass player's doing something else. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you probably don't even like that. Like, when your bass drum,
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my boys say I'm a bully. Like if I'm playing with a drummer that's
Bro.
not assertive, like I force his kick pattern to match what
this
I'm
is what
playing.
you've got to do. Those are the type of things. Like, you got to lock in with those things. It's like you have to be like cohesive. Like a band, musicians aren't like if you're playing a 3-4 piece band, you're not a 3-4 piece man playing together. You're a band.
Yeah.
It's one word. It's not. Hey, it's a band. Like you're playing together. So even when we're all under the house, we're one as well. So it's like you just have to all be on the same page. Just read the room, but that's how I would see it. So as a musician, or like musicianship wise, just understand your different dynamics of where you're at. So whether you're playing in a big setting where they're asking for that, if the MDs are asking for that, give it to him. That's what he wants because he's obviously musical directed, doing his thing. But if it's calm, just sometimes hold off. Like sometimes hold off. Like you don't have to do bears. Like you don't have to.
Okay. What about you? What do you think?
What do you mean by lashing? Like,
So like, okay, when I say lashing, I mean like I'm just going ham. Like I'm going
overplaying.
Like I'm just going OTT.
Well,
like.
So when I hear that question, I'm thinking from a bit of a different perspective than Shenz. I think it starts with, first of all, like what's the setting of the environment that you're in? Like, is this a live recording for someone's album? Is this Wednesday Bible study? Is it Sunday service? Like it actually all depends on where you are. So that's phase one. Cool. Now we've established where we are. Who am I playing with and who is in charge? Because obviously there's always gonna be, like, to be honest, 9 times out of 10 there's gonna be an MD, a music director. But at the same time, with a lot of guys that I play with, like that hat can kind of shift. Like the MD is almost like a free roam. Like one man can have it on one song, next man has it, kind of thing. And then also, like, if you're playing as a band, and like he said, if one person's going in one direction, then we're all kind of going in that direction. But then another aspect of it is playing the song and playing the music. Music is structured, and especially gospel music, like it has a certain structure, and it's a lot of the time it's that structure that allows like the atmosphere to kind of like be charged, as people will say. And a lot of time, even when you're like, oh, we don't sing the exact song the way it goes, like whether you like it or not, spontaneous worship like flows and sections still are structured. They always start with a little breakdown.
You're still going to go to the verse.
You still, like, you build, and even if the worship leader now changes the lyrics and changes what they're singing, like, it's still structured. And what I mean by that is not structure as in we've planned and written down. Structure is in it follows a musical pattern, and there's still music involved in there. So as long as you understand music, then you can always follow. Now, to link back to your question, it all comes back to skill. If you're not skilled enough or in your understanding to understand and know what it is that is required from you in that situation, like, you can hear from God, and God might want to push you this way, but if you haven't got the capability to do it, it's either it doesn't happen, or it's one of them, wow, Holy Spirit must have taken over my fingers because I don't know what I played. But like, that's not gonna happen all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like God's given us a gift, and He wants us to. We're supposed to practice in our own time and multiply that gift, so that when He wants to elevate us, we're ready for that. But I mean, in saying all of that, at the same time, like, God will be glorified however He wants to be glorified. But like, I still believe that there's an onus on us to do our part. And even though, yes, we're worshiping as a musician, like, you're low-key there to do a job, and as a worship leader, you're actually still there to do a job. So it's great to go off in your own place and be like, oh, it's just me and God, but you can do that, bearing in mind that your skill level is in such a way that you can still lead the people into where you're going, like almost as if you're taking them into your mind now as you worship. There are some people that aren't skilled in leading worship or aren't skilled in playing, that they'll now go off on doing their own thing, and the congregation are looking at them like, what's going on? Like, do you know what I mean? So like it comes down to skill in terms of finding the balance, because they can easily both be up here. Your lashing and worship can both be up here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And then again, reading the room is a definite I'm not really sure what else to.
Literally, I think you summed it up perfectly. Like it's easy to understand where you're both coming from. It's literally that. Like there's nothing else you can do. Like I think the emphasis is heavy on skill with you guys as musicians or instrumentalists or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, musicians.
Yeah,
Instrumentalist word,
I don't know why I don't like that word. You know,
I've noticed that
I don't know
people
why.
always have that reaction. Where it's
instrumentalist. Nah, bro.
Do you know what it is? I feel like it's a bit like PTSD. Like that word is normally used when people are trying to get onto us. Like, the instrumentalists don't think.
I slightly feel it's a bit of a cultural thing as well. Like I feel like it's a bit of the African culture. They love the word instrumentalist. Yeah,
I hear that still.
It is, man.
No, I feel like musician is a bit more of a respectful term.
It's the term. It's the correct term. I've never seen instrumentalist on this.
That's true. That's true.
On the CV. Like,
I'm a musician.
musician.
Yeah. That's true. So we're gonna kind of like take it in a different direction now. Just like chill, like just relax a bit. Nothing deep. I'm just gonna ask you guys a few questions, and I'm just gonna give me your answers in the best way possible. So the first question is, gospel or CCM?
Gospel.
Yeah, I knew you guys were gonna say that. We had this conversation in the group chat because we've had this conversation in the G-Clash group chat.
Shout out to them, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the family,
man. Man. They did a big thing during lockdown, bro.
Oh, that was nice, man.
They touched bare lives, man.
Trust me.
Thank God. But literally, like, fam, we were talking about it. It's like, I think the conversation was about Stephanie Gretzinger and Tasha Cobbs.
Yeah.
That one last one lied to you. I didn't know who Stephanie was until I knew that voice. I didn't know the name.
Yeah.
I knew the voice. I didn't know the name. You get it? But yeah. So
yeah, because it was like we were literally. I think I was sitting at my desk at work, and this whole conversation was going on. Like, I think the debate was, who can hit better notes.
Yeah, it was who's better vocally.
Yeah, who's vocally better,
like
Stephanie or Tasha, and then everyone went.
No, but you know what that's like? That question to me is like asking who's the better athlete, Roger Federer or LeBron James.
Yeah.
LeBron James is clearly the better athlete, but doesn't take anything away from Roger Federer's greatness in the sport.
Yeah.
Like,
within his lane.
I think that's what the whole thing is. And I just, like, don't get me wrong, like, I think people get this idea that I dislike CCM. Like, that is not true. It's not true. It's just that I feel like people who adore CCM like have little to no respect for the craft that comes behind gospel. You know what I'm saying?
I think it is.
And because they love their CCM guys, they think that their CCM guys can do the gospel thing. No, they can't.
I think, yeah.
See, look, he thinks it.
I'm gonna bite my tongue there.
Do you know what? Like in terms musically, CCM is easier. So if you let's strip it back to what the in terms of, because to me, I always think gospel music or like Christian music is the message. It's not how the music is portrayed and the sound, right? So if you look at the musicality of CCM, tends to be, I'm not saying all of it, tends to be about 4 chords on the chorus, switches the numbers around on the verse, and then switches it on the bridge, maybe. But then gospel stuff, there's a lot more movements going on. There's a lot more like jazz influence, fusion influence, a lot more diminished chords and things like that, or like stabs or pushes or things like that happen in a lot of gospel music. Whereas CCM, from where I've that's my opinion, a lot of the stuff is a lot more simple, easier to listen to, easier to digest, more like simple music in terms of like playing wise and that.
I hear
So
that still.
I think a consumer can easily digest simpler things. So yeah,
I think following on the back of that, I think, you know, what a lot of people don't realize, and whether you like it or not, gospel, what it's become, gospel music is a genre of music. So there are a lot of people who love gospel music but aren't Christian, for example.
Okay.
Because gospel music now is about the sounds and different things. So
I heard that.
it's not every gospel song that even, that's why, you know, I see you, man, on the TL talking about certain songs you can't sing because of the doctrine and that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not every song that, you know, fits the Christian message that you're trying to put
But
across.
it's a gospel genre.
But
I hear
like,
that.
that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the music for
Oh,
the
absolutely.
music that it
Yeah,
is, because
absolutely,
it's
of
a
course.
genre of music now. That's what it's become. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say whether I like that or whether I dislike it, but it's just the fact of the matter of what it is. Now, in terms of CCM, like, I love CCM music. I love playing CCM music. Like, for me, it's like a spectrum. It's not one or the other. So like, your gospel artists are like your Marvin Saps, your Fred Hammonds. They're on that side of the spectrum. Then on CCM side, you've got, like, in terms of the goats, I guess, like Don Moen, and like Stephanie Gretchen is like more, you know, more contemporary, but she's still like CCM. And then you've still got people along the spectrum, like a bit more CCM, but it's still very, very gospel heavy. It's like
Todd
Jubilee
Delaney.
Worship. Todd Delaney is a bit
Yeah.
more gospel.
Green.
Travis, like all of that kind of stuff. Like, there are some people that genuinely, when they say they don't like gospel and stuff, what they mean to say is that genre of music, that playing, is a little bit too much for me. I don't feel that I can listen to that and worship God and praise God, and that is fine.
But then again, there is something for every single person's ear.
This is what I'm saying.
So the consumer, as a consumer, everything you take is for you. Like, you consume your own, like, stuff in it. So whatever you choose to listen to is what you're gonna take in. So whether the gospel stuff is too heavy for them, or the CCM stuff is too heavy, or it doesn't matter, because as a consumer, everyone has the right. That's the reason why people release stuff or put stuff out, because there's a consumer for everything. There's a listener for everything. Sorry, marketing.
And I think and I think as well, a lot of people, especially on Twitter, like, a lot of people don't have the ability to be objective in life. I've realized, like, so I say that to say this: like, there are some people that maybe gospel isn't for them. Maybe they aren't a fan of, like, you know, Marvin Sapp type of stuff or Hezekiah Walker stuff. Maybe they're not. That's fine, but they don't have the ability to be objective. They're not musical, and then they want to come and tell a musician that this music is better than that music. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, even though I don't listen to a lot of CCM music and stuff, I can still objectively hear a song and be like, this is a very well written song. It follows this structure. This is a great song. You know, there's great music behind this song. There's great writing behind this song. And I can tell that this song, like, if you sing it in church, like, it's kicking off. Like, but I feel like a lot of people in life, not even just in music, in a lot of things, they don't have the ability to have an objective, to be objective, or to think objectively about something. Everything is just opinion infused, like, too much sometimes.
Yeah, that's
even.
very true. Yeah.
Me, I got the opinions. Me, I know. That's me, innit? You get me? That's how I am, bro. Everyone.
But me, I'm someone, I like to think, you know, from other people's perspectives. I like to think about something objectively and think, you know what, I don't like this, but it's actually good.
But again, that's the thing. That's the thing, because whether you can say that about musicians as well, how someone's approach is to playing, because you can say someone is an amazing. Everyone that has the skill that's a musician is a musician. Same with singers; they're a musician. You know the whole saying, everyone can sing. Like, cool. To someone that they're an amazing singer. To someone whose ear is a bit more tuned to musicality, they might say there's things that, you know, you can work on.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm saying, there's something for everyone. Like, everything that's released, whether it's music, whether it's worship song, worship in general, there's a segment or section for every single person.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just about finding your preference or your way of, you know, enjoying worship. Like, because I don't think there's, like you're saying, there's nothing wrong with it, or there's no wrong version, or obviously it depends on the lyrics. And I know you man have got that whole debate thing on what songs mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really looked into that. When I see it, I kind kind of
Scroll
jump over
past.
it. But you know, but like yeah, like defo from a musical aspect, because I guess I'm a musician first. I kind of always listen to music, and I always listen to what music is like, what the music is doing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I won't even cap that, bro.
Don't
I
know
don't know
lyrics to
lyrics.
song. Yeah, that's one thing that I think is bad though.
I'm
Like,
not gonna lie, it is.
I'll hold my hands up and say,
I'm not gonna
like,
lie.
when I listen to a song, like the first thing I listen to is the music.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
natural for
like
you lot, though.
I naturally
Never
sometimes like I don't know. I feel for me anyway. It depends. I might listen to a song first time, and the first thing I listen to is the drums and the drummer.
Okay.
That's me. It's really weird. Then I'll listen to it again. Then I'll listen out for the bass player. Then I'll listen again, and I'm kind of like, especially if I'm learning the song, I can like block out the other sounds and kind of reduce them in my brain, and then only focus in on what I'm hearing or what I'm trying to listen for. Like that's how I learn music. But so now when it comes to actually listening to a song, we'll be in rehearsal and the singer will be like, all right, we're gonna go from Jesus Saves, and like let's just say that's the lyric of the song, and I'll be like,
where's that? Is that at the beginning? At the end?
Say, that's
and they'll be like the second chorus. I'll be like,
really.
What's the
I'll be like, sing the line.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh yeah, that bit. Alright, cool. Like so, I've heard the melody rather than the
then
lyrics. So I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to be better.
I think in skill set as well. I think in terms of you were talking about structure earlier. I think that's one thing that I've definitely learned or tried to learn, especially since like playing in church a lot more, and even from before, structure. Because to me, music and structure has always been very important. So whether I don't know lyrics, you tell me second chorus. You tell like when I'm charting, like say I'm doing like a gig or something, and I have to chart my notes. I'm charting out sections. So it's like I don't chart out numbers, bro. I charted out numbers for the first time 2 weeks ago because I've been playing bass a bit. So I now clocked how numbers work. Like I know how numbers work, but charting numbers out for the first time on like 11 songs, I was like, rah.
Wait, just a bit of context for people that are listening, because some people will probably be thinking, "What?
Sorry.
Listen, I can't lie. Me, I'm just here. I'm just like, what are these guys saying?
What Shenz is basically saying, like, let's say he's got to play bass at church this Sunday, and he's got to play I don't know, Your Presence is Heaven to Me and Here I Am to Worship. Okay, he's never heard those songs before ever. So what he decides to do is he listens to the song, he finds out what key the song is in. Okay, if he's in the key of C, now C is his root note. That's his one. So then the scale do re mi so fa la ti do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Everything in between that will either be a sharp or a flat. So like a bit higher or a bit lower. So that's what we mean by numbers, because that way whatever key you're in, you can communicate easily with everybody else about what to play.
Oh, that's why.
And then like you can't really imagine trying to do that to someone and say play D. We'll just throw up like
F. Some people do. There's a world where that happens. Like
to be honest, I'm mixed as well though. Like if I know, like for example, like I know a friend of mine. Let's say like I play with my bass. My top string is an A. Like I've tuned down. So like there's a friend of mine. If he's on a talkback mic, he might say, rather than saying play the 6, he might say, yo, A, low A, meaning that he specifically wants me to play that low A string rather than playing any random 6. So some people switch, but
I think it's then again it's skill, isn't it? Because then some people have got to that level where they've accepted theory for musical theory as well as the system of numbers and the like circle of numbers. Like because there's 2 systems. Like I can read drum music on a stave, like I can read what it looks like if you wanted me to, but then again I don't necessarily need that at church setting. But then understanding bars, which is like especially for in like 4/4 1 2 3 4 1, that's 4/4, knowing that that's a bar. If you said to me, alright cool, my MD might say alright cool, and in 4 bars dropped out or something like that, like maybe something like that, I know 4 bars. Some people don't. Some people count 16 and tell me that's 8, and I'm like, well, your division is a bit, your like division of it is different than your measures.
But obviously, like with chat talk like that, you're getting into the realm of like, okay, like this is professionals now that we're dealing with and we're playing with, and I think a lot of people's opinions on musicians and musicianship would change if they like their favorite worship leaders that they love to listen to. if they got to sit in on a rehearsal and hear
Mm.
how rude that worship leader is to his singers
Oh,
and his
right,
band.
right.
I think they would then realize that in the UK it's actually not that deep.
It's
Like,
light work, yeah.
it's like because they're professionals, like the same way in your
standard.
workplace, if you're dropping off, like, you know, they're gonna hit you with the first of all, can you see my screen first of all? But then after that, if you're dropping off, you're gonna be told that, you know, your performance, you know, you need a little bit more support, or
Yeah.
you need to be whatever. But I feel like here, you know, sometimes we're just too like, this guy's great.
Like-
Yeah, man, we're too
Yeah.
like, if you sat
Too
in on a
lax.
sound check or sat in on a rehearsal for these professionals, like,
You see
you'd
it's
actually see
different.
like there's levels to this.
Mhm.
Like there's
It's
levels.
like to them, it's professional. The thing people will be like an album, or especially live recordings. You don't like live recordings are like hot. Like if you're sitting there, I've never done a live recording yet. And
By God's grace,
wanna do
same
one,
man.
man.
I've not
Prophesy,
done one
man,
yet,
brother.
man.
I wanna
Next
do-
year, man, I want to be on a live
Amen,
I
recording.
want to
man.
do a
Amen
live
to that.
recording, but live recordings, for example, imagine that's you want to get your level of, I guess, lash, but then enough for consumers, and then say you're doing more than one take, bro. Every take has to be the same, or
Yeah.
it needs to be clean. You might be playing to a metronome, like a click track, which is like a tempo set that keeps everyone together. Yeah. So in that sense, you can't drop off the click. That's why people laugh at drummers when they drop off the one. Or man will say earlier, man was saying, if he goes off the one, I'm gonna say he ain't got drums in his ears, like, because you can't drop off the one. But
Like, that's literally the equivalent of like Kepa, like not saving very easy.
Oh,
So, like,
bro,
that's
come
what it's
on,
like.
That's
Oh,
my
yeah,
people.
Yeah, but
That's
I'm trying
That's my people,
I'm trying to help you understand the severity
No,
of
I hear
a
you.
drummer
No,
dropping
no.
off the click.
No,
like,
it's not.
yeah,
Definitely
or just
hear that.
playing that weak pass. Like you're in the middle. There's a clean through ball, triangle. There's a
Where's
triangle
the
pass, FIFA. Yeah,
I hear it.
and then you square it to the next
Bro,
man.
moving like what Loftus Cheek was doing on the
Bruv.
weekend, bro.
Someone
time?
called him softest cheeks on
Oh.
Twitter. That was
I see someone said he's your MCM, not your CM.
Big bio, man. Trust me, honestly.
That's funny.
No, do you know what's so bad as well? You lot already touched on some of the things that I wanted to ask you already. So we've kind of covered that, so that's good. But then the other question I had was, what are your top 3 albums?
I
Oh,
like, I don't even know, man.
that's a hard question. Like any
Any genre?
any like kind of being more specific.
Okay.
Like
How specific do you want me to get?
like as in top 3 to play, top 3 that
Okay,
you like
okay,
to listen to.
okay, how
top
about this?
3,
How
like,
about this?
Gospel. Do you know
Alright,
what I
cool.
mean? Like,
What is your favorite album you like to play? You like to listen to, and it just like all time like.
alright,
Hard for me. I don't even lie.
that's a tricky one
It's
still.
too hard for me.
Because I feel like whatever I choose, I'll be missing something out. Do you know what I mean?
I listen to I don't. I change my ear so much.
Oh,
Do
really?
you know what I
I
mean?
change my ears. You're basically asking me today.
Okay, how about this? The most favorite of your the most recent album that you listen to that you've loved so much.
Do you know, I had an answer for the last one, so I'm going to answer that and this
Alright,
one.
cool.
So
Go on, Shed.
you go.
Most recent album,
That you've something that you've loved recently.
Mali Music's new album.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's that called for the people?
Is it the Book of Mali? I think.
Yes, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, literally, I was listening to it on my way here, bro. I've spun that album. The Book of Mali came out a couple months ago, whenever this comes out. That album. It said a lot of people I know said, man went left or, but this album for me, there's certain tracks. It's not a whole top to bottom I can rinse. Like I have to skip 1 or 2, but like I don't know, that album just just cutting for me, man.
See, I like the album a lot, but my thing is like I love praise and worship music so much. It's very hard for me to listen to studio Christian music
Oh, is it?
personally.
Yeah,
Like I still do listen to it, but someone like Marley music, like his
Not a live
that
album.
the song Yahweh, that album that I think Second Coming
Yeah,
or whatever
Second
it's called.
Coming.
Like it's not on Spotify and that really
That's
annoys me.
that's an
So because
amazing
of that,
project.
I would not listen to
Listen,
that.
because of that.
No, I'm joking. Like,
Marley, if you listen to this, go put that album.
Trust
on
me,
Spotify.
Marley music,
Ah,
please.
We need that one.
Or at
so-
least on your next album, give us at least 1 or 2 praise and worship songs on that album, and I'll leave you alone. I beg. because
Everyone should
nah,
at
but
Mali Music
nah,
after
but
this.
Mali Music is like one of the most
He's
amazing
musically-
artists. Like, oh,
He's sick. He's sick.
And I even go to listen to a lot of his. If you go listen to like a lot of his live interpretations or covers or versions of his song, everything it's always different. He never does how it sounds on record. So it's like how one of my favorite like Marley performances when he did American Idol, right? He had a song, is it Beautiful?
yeah, that performance is
Serious. So he did American Idol. I think he just got signed at that point. So that was kind of in his deal kind of thing. But then he plays keys, so he jumps on keys at the end, and then bruv, he almost lashed himself. You can see it on the camera. He almost lashed himself, yeah. And it was like he was playing Beautiful, and then he was about to go into Let Us Sing Songs of the Glory. So close. He said, "Let us sing songs," and they said, just
that's a bit too churchy for mainstream.
And you're
like.
an American Idol. Like, this
Bit
is
too
J-Lo
churchy,
and
like,
them man
yeah,
sitting on the
me.
panel. Like, this is America's big like.
He said, "Let me control myself."
Yeah.
But even that performance, like, I just like that. I've seen him live twice now. When he came to the UK, I went to his show. That was band as well, and obviously full band situations. I love listening to full band situations. Like, I love listening to praise and worship gospel albums, like live recorded albums, studio recorded albums. I guess sometimes if they can get that same approach, like they can. Like some albums are still live instruments, but it's not recorded like in a one live session. Like maybe drummers recorded live parts, bass players recorded live parts, but then it's mixed, but it's not actually a live recording. Whereas some are literally at an event live recorded.
Yeah, like most of your William McDowell albums are like live recordings.
Yeah.
Like they did it, they recorded it. But even when they do a live recording, like they still
overdubs.
they overdub it after. So like because emotions and everything, like no singer's gonna be perfect like the whole night. Some of it will be pitchy. So the same singers have to go back to the studio after and re-record the whole concert in the studio. Bass players do the same thing. So that's why when people are complaining about prices of gospel tickets, like fam, to do this stuff is not cheap. Like they're not just giving you the concert; they still got work to do after.
Yeah.
And then post production.
So,
You lot are hearing Shad. Look, this is free information you're getting. Free. You ain't got to pay for this. All you got to do is subscribe, like, share it with your friends.
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
me right here. No,
No, she'll put in. Look, subscribe. You know how it is. But yeah, no, go on. David,
So I'd say one of my favorite gospel albums, and generally I only really listen to gospel music. I mean, I listen to other music too, but like if you go on my Spotify, it's filled with gospel.
Boo to Spotify. Boo.
Yeah, Apple
Music, bro.
You didn't get no Google Nest, bruv.
I did.
That Google.
I did get one. That's the thing,
So
but it's
washed.
rubbish.
It's
I gave it
so
away.
washed. It's so
use it.
rubbish.
But why did you think they were giving it away? Because it's
I
dead.
leave it in my kitchen.
Of course they're gonna give
It's
something
just
rubbish
not-
away
it's
to
just
you
not-
guys.
It's just not good.
Leave it in my
But,
kitchen.
yeah, one of my favorite albums that I feel a lot of people don't know about. There's an artist from Orlando, Florida called Javis Mays. He is amazing, and one of his albums called #Plugged In. It's one of my favorites. Like that intro is crazy. Like, and people playing on the album are like they're now Fred Hammond's like current band.
Oh,
So
actually,
like
I know
all the
what
Red
album you're
Camp
talking
guys
about.
and yeah, so a
know
lot
what
of them
album you're
guys
talking about.
playing on that. So that's one thing for me when
David
I look at
Outen.
an album. Yeah, David Outen produced this one. So when I look
Okay.
at an album and stuff, like
I think I've heard
I
it.
like to find out who's
Okay.
behind and
Okay,
who's
yeah.
playing the
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
That
yeah.
affects like how much. You know,
I'm invested in the album.
do you know what
Oh,
I
wow.
mean? So
That's a new one. Never heard that before.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I do the same thing at gigs as well. Like
Oh really?
if I'm going to a show, who's in the band? Like,
Oh no, okay,
I know
yeah, I
people
hear
wanna
that.
know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, of course.
who's playing? Like
Yeah,
know
no,
you
yeah,
want to know who's on kit.
Yeah.
I might go to a show because X is on drums or
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
so.
yeah. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
actually do that.
I even remember actually I tweeted how recently was it? I said, guys, if you're trying to show someone like good examples of how to play drums, how to play gospel
Oh, you're
on
trying to out me.
drums, like what albums would you pick? What did I
Did
say?
you try out me?
I don't think it was you.
I think I said, you asked for 3 songs.
Oh, I saw that.
I think you said pick 3 songs that you think are a perfect example of drums. And gospel
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I think you picked one that I was a bit like.
I need to find the tweet. I'm gonna find it. It was.
Those bare of them.
But
You
yeah,
might
I'd
try
say one of my
Album.
favorite gospel albums of all time.
Thirsty.
Yeah, Marvin Sapp, Thirsty. I think if you want to know about
That's
gospel
an album.
music, go listen to that. In terms of what I'm
Anything that
listening
Calvin Rogers
to
brings.
right now, well, I was listening to an album called Freedom by Kel Bailey. He's a So this is what I mean. Like in America, the gospel industry is like a real industry. So I wouldn't say he's underground, but like if we were American, you'd know who he is.
Okay.
But because we're UK, we don't know who he is. So Freedom by Kel Bailey. That
His name?
album
What?
is dope. Kel
K-E-L, like
Kell.
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, but with a second L.
Oh, okay.
So Kel Bailey, dope album.
I listened to what's her name's new album?
Benita Jones.
No, not her.
Even that new album, she did a live recording, The Entreating.
Okay.
Very good. Very, very
Listen
good.
to what's
And
the
that's
name?
got like Brandon Macklin on drums and that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's serious.
I think it was Corey. Is it Corinne Hawthorne? What's her name?
I've seen that name.
Yeah, I'll check
I don't know
that
who she
album.
is.
She's-
Oga,
Okay, no.
Oga CCM here is just like
she's like her.
You don't know, like
She's a studio artist though. She got a tune with Stephanie on her new album though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's gonna
yeah,
go
send
check
that
that
to- I'm definitely listening to that. I'll send that to me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that I listened to that album. I just gave that a one listen. But I like to. On Spotify, I'm a New Music Friday guy. Whatever's there, tell me what album just came out that day.
Okay.
Do you know what I re-listened to the other day? James Fortune's
New one?
Live Through It album. It's the one Live Through It. It's the one with what song? Best Praise on it.
Oh yeah.
I re-listened to the album. I was just like, rah.
Overdid it. They did a lot.
No, but it's sick though. Like, as much as everyone has a lot to say about all of James Fortune's kind of music being too much, like, secretly you love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For me, like, Never Again. Like, James Fortune song, Never Again. For me, I remember listening to that song for the first time.
That's the song.
That's in fact, that's the song. Yeah.
He said that would be a great example to show someone gospel drumming. I said, no
really?
way.
For me, that's one of the first songs that made me know. I knew who Calvin Rogers was. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you then.
Calvin Rogers, the drummer.
So Calvin
Yeah.
Rogers is a drummer who used to play for Fred Hammond. He's just doing.
Calvin Rogers is the Michael Jordan of drumming, basically,
really?
of gospel drumming.
gospel drumming.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Okay.
Or he's more like today's, like, obviously there's Marvin McCready, but he passed away, so it's like.
Calvin Rogers is the Michael Jordan of gospel
Alright,
drumming.
cool,
I'll
yeah.
say it again.
He's a guy. To
I
me.
know certain people are gonna at me for that comment, but I don't
But
care.
he's a guy in it. So one of the first times I came across Calvin Rogers before doing my history was Never Again, because I just heard Calvin, let's go. Like, I heard that intro and I said, what?
Yeah, that thing is legendary for musicians.
So
bro.
I heard that and I was like, to me, that's when that kind of shifted my this stuff could
Yeah.
what's that chop? What is that? Like,
It's true.
so
And for those that aren't musicians, listen out for a lot of gospel music you listen to. You will hear on at least like maybe 10 tracks, Calvin, let's go. And it's just like it's now a catchphrase. So if Calvin's playing drums,
if you know Calvin's
it's
doing
Calvin, let's go. And
So if
you
you
just
just
start.
hear, what you got, Calvin? Like, if you hear the name Calvin, like, you know, it's Calvin Rogers,
Yeah,
the guy. But
I hear that, man.
yeah,
You man are really in your bag, fam.
like, I could talk about music for days.
You man are in your bag, shot. No, it's good because it's proper insightful for me, for the people, to hear how a musician actually sees worship and gospel and CCM and all of that stuff.
Wait, one thing I didn't say, the one thing I will give CCM is their like attention to detail and preparation and and production and tech is like second to none. Like
Everything in CCM is live recorded, and more time is praise and worship at their church.
yeah, like it's not
That's just
it's just the norm. Like
That's
what
just the norm.
you're listening to in your ears from the album is what
It's-
they would hear
it's
in
their
a
normal
church
Sunday.
setting. Like so that's one thing I
that's
think
true.
is amazing.
So their preparation into like, and I follow like some like CCM church drummers or channels on like YouTube and stuff like that. Like they show you the behind the scenes and how they program. Like, for example, it may seem spontaneous to you, but bro, everything they're running, they're using softwares like Ableton, and they're just triggering things, and they're just like
to the point at which they might have specific parts of their drum that once they hit it triggers a certain light pattern and
yeah,
stuff.
bro.
So then that's when you'll now get like it's crazy,
Yeah.
like their level of obviously there's gospel churches and stuff that do that too. But you know, gospel, they focus
They do
more on
everything.
live playing, whereas a lot of the CCM guys, like, they don't
Production.
play things live all the time. A lot
Mm.
of it is like tracks and like
Production, man.
so.
Even like to the point where I know everyone like say it's different, but like some drums, for example, tuning drums, right? I know like Hillsong, for example, all their kits in all their churches, especially for maybe recording or sake, are the same. Like they tune to certain decibels and certain like tones. Like obviously
they're very, very particular.
very particular about how you're supposed to approach playing, how you play, the symbols you use, the things like they're very particular, very, very particular. Some of us, man, just play and let the spirit lead.
Trust me. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, that's prep.
Them man prick. Some of us, I was about to say some of us just play and inshallah, but it's Christian. And I do it. No, but you know, it's the language in it. So,
but that's a playing. Oh my days.
Oh my, aye.
That is funny.
Hey, you see?
I said play and hope.
Play and hope for the best. Oh,
literally.
Oi, that's so funny.
Wing it.
That's so funny.
I need to get rid of winging it.
What, do you mind wing it, man?
I can't even get into that, man.
yeah, all the time, man. Now, do you know what it is? It's a mentality that. It's a mentality that I'd say I don't really have as much anymore. Like, but actually, it depends. Like, I'm always a believer in if you say yes to doing something, like any gig, like the fact you've agreed to do it means you should give it 100% of your thing. That's one thing I believe. However, like, I've grown up in a church where we don't really have like singers, or you know, you come to rehearsal late at times, so it's like, or if you sent the song list in, like, I'm not gonna listen to all the songs because I know them. Like, you're singing Casting Crowns and you're singing like, so like I know them, so I'm not gonna spend time in the week to like study on it and stuff. So in those circumstances and stuff, I would say I wing it, but I wouldn't even call it winging it, because like the preparation for that has been done already once upon a time. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, winging it, you can't wing it on something really serious. You'll get found out.
Yeah, clean.
You'll get found out, because even if you've learnt the song, if you don't know the song, you won't know like there's certain pushes in songs like that. Especially as a drummer, to be honest, actually as a drummer, it's easy because you don't have to hit the note; you just have to hit the push. So
I hear that.
It's easier, I think, and you get away. I think drummers get away with a lot, but then at the same time, it's so clear when a drummer hasn't learnt a song compared to like someone else.
But then again, that can go down to skill, especially for like you know, like pushes and stuff. But like I won't lie, it's not the best thing to do. But if I was to listen to a song, I'll play the intro.
Bro, I'm the same.
Skip. Listen to what's happening there. Hit the outro. Or hit the bridge. Hit the thing. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's a CCM.
Yeah, especially if it's CCM. That's what I do. And then whoever's like sent the songs, if they're a musician, and I'll be like, bro, are there any other sections other than the da 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 or the da 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 da? They'll be like, nah, those are the only two sections and repeats. Cool. See you on Sunday.
And drums, especially even drums, like bruv, like they'll tell me, just learn the intro.
Like, you can't do that with gospel.
Especially if you're playing a full song.
You can do it with CCM, but you can't do that with gospel.
Like, as long as you just play the first part, boom, 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 and then get the intro down, you're nice, and then the rest of the song, it's like, okay, you can, the groove works, just build before chorus, hit open hats, get it, like, you can get away with a lot. But for example, playing like melodic stuff or like actually having to follow what vocals are doing, drummers can hide, big time.
100%.
Kind of got away with that.
Now, this has been a proper insightful for me. When I do eventually get back on the drums, I will be paying a lot more attention to the musicians.
Not gonna lie, bro. Since I've been playing bass, like I've been trying to. Recently, I said to myself this year, play more bass. It's changed my perspective completely. Like I got very complacent on drums, like very in terms of learning songs and stuff. But since like I said, writing numbers down, bro, spun me.
It's not easy. And the worst bit is especially if I was to go through some of my notes now for songs I've done, Do you know what I might do after this? I'll send you an example of my notes for a song, and you can maybe see what it looks like.
Yeah.
The worst is I might write down like 3/6 bouncy. And I'll do that like a week ago. A week later now,
What's
I'll be
bouncy
like,
mean?
what the hell does bouncy mean again? And like, because I wrote down the notes, I didn't write notes properly.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I do it all the time, and I'm just like, then I have to listen to the song again. And then it's that's what I meant by
That's another
bouncy.
thing, man. How's the song go? Yeah.
Just takes a little bit just to click that.
All I need is it. Even if I just hear the
half a second
pad,
of the first,
I just need to hear the pad on the intro and what chimes come in.
But that comes back to us not knowing lyrics.
So you don't know what you have to do after this.
But I told you,
learn some lyrics.
I told you, I'm changing though.
But
I'm
I can
changing.
sing along. I can sing along when I'm not playing and I'm in church. I'm not just clapping my hands and nodding my head. Like a lot of man say musicians do, but I'm
Yikes.
where?
It sounds like you got birds to fit cassava.
I'm easy, bro.
He's trying to at someone.
I
Son.
don't know one still. Alright, yeah, talking about.
You sure, Shenz?
I'm easy, bro.
No, but on the road though, this has been great. It's very insightful. Thank you guys, honestly. We're definitely gonna do something. And hopefully the guy that was supposed to be here will be in the next video we do together. I'm bored. Let me not even, because if I say his name, he'll be upset with me. So I'm not gonna say his name. But yeah, no, but for real, how can we connect with you guys? Like, I know you guys both, I don't know if you do lessons. Oh, you do actually.
Yeah.
You teach as well. So just plug yourselves, all of that good stuff.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Dgbass. Bass is BASS, not BASE. So Dgbass _ on Instagram. I'm doing lessons on bass. If you need bass on your track, you can hit me up as well. I've recently started producing as well, gospel producing. So hopefully that will be up and running soon. Where any up and coming gospel artists who want to actually have a track, then you can get in touch with me. If you need bass on your track, you want to learn bass, you need a bass player, hit me up. Even if you need a keys player, man, the economy's tight. Hit me up. I can run it.
So what are your part? Is it a good price on that? Like?
Good prices, yeah, man. You know,
no mates rates on that.
I give you good deal.
I give for you, my brother.
For you?
I give you a good deal.
As long as the pockets are not empty. Empty.
Hey, man, about too funny.
So Instagram, Shenzondrumz. That's SHENZONDRUMZ. Twitter, Shenzondrumz. Teaching, just DM me or email me, shenzondrum@gmail.com. Also got a YouTube channel. I do to be honest, if people support me, I'll probably do a lot more, but I kind of held back off it. But I had like a series going on where I made sure I played every Sunday. Like I filmed myself playing every Sunday, and I was trying to just be raw and honest and just show reality of how I approach praise and worship. So you can
really good actually.
That's it.
You can check that out.
Everybody check that out, man.
That's,
check it out. That's a dope
Sunday
thing.
Seat. I haven't uploaded them in a minute, but I will be back doing it.
You back in the church building?
We are back in the church building.
Yeah, so run it then, bro.
But praise and worship's bare short. I can't. Praise and worship.
Do you even have a full band coming in, or is it?
It's like 3-piece. It's even synth bass and keys. So again, I've missed playing with a bass player. So, so Shen Sunday Seat. There's a couple of vlogs up there as well. Just email me if you need production. Not so much the gospel stuff, like in terms of gospel sounding stuff. Like I can't play keys like that, so I can't do heavy production. But
he can do heavy production. He just means if you want a Tasha Cobbs album, he's not your guy. I'm your guy. If you want a Marley Music album, he's your guy. That's what he means.
Something like
in the little thing.
Yeah.
You know what?
What's this guy
at the thing,
Why is he being humble for?
At the thing, David said, I was next to him. He said, I might actually add a little bit of science to this, And then as soon as I saw it, I said, your turnaround is quick. I rate that. I said, Bunny, give me an hour. It was healthy competition. Yeah. I said, Bunny.
No, because the way the worship was flowing at G Clash, I just heard it and I was like,
it's heavy still.
Yeah, like this would be nice.
And when I heard what you did, I just said, I would vibe to it this way.
Yeah, your flip was nuts still.
So I just did a little Afro swing flip somewhere. So check it out. And yeah, man, shout us, man. Thanks for having us as well, man.
Thank
bro.
you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for
bro.
coming, man. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a
Come
friend,
on.
tell their
All
mom
that.
and their dad and their brother and their sister. You get. But yeah, guys, we are out. God bless. Take care.